Thank you so much, Jane. There's a question that has been posted by Karanja, and I would like you to respond to it before we move forward. It says, with media freedom comes great responsibility. What responsibility does the Kenyan media in particular have in reporting responsibly, factually, and accurately?
Um, of course, it does come with responsibility, and they have to report factually and accurately. That is a must. I mean, that is why they are doing their job as media, and that cannot be said aside. However, when there are mistakes can happen, and it's not every day that mistakes are made. So the media, the code of conduct for the practice of journalism that is has been generated and developed by the Media Council of Kenya is there to guide us. Within our own media spaces, we have our own editorial policies that guide how we operate. So it is not a question of not being responsible. I think the media in Kenya is very responsible. Most of the time, 85% of the time, they struggle and they tell the truth. I don't think they are lies, but you see, when you are being told the truth, it could either be the political side, the opposition side, then it starts to hurt. Like we say, the truth hurts. And many times that is when people feel and say that this is not being said in the right way. However, within the constitution of Kenya, even when we are being told that there is freedom of expression, we are also reminded that there are certain elements like hate speech that we cannot go carrying in our media. We must restrict what we say, even when people say wrong things or bad things, we control. But we can only control it up to a certain level, because as the traditional media, we have rules that guide us. But when things are then taken to the social media by other people, those are out of control. The problem is that there is lack of understanding of what traditional media is and what people are posting on social media, which is not coming from the media organizations, but the people will always view what they've read, even on social media, to be something that, in quotes, watu wa magazeti walisema, because everybody is referred to watu wa magazeti, watu wa media, the people from the media, the people from the newspapers. That's how I can respond to that, Sid.
Great, that's a beautiful response. And still from the Kenyan team, I was recently looking at the 2023 World Press Freedom Index, and our ranking in Kenya was not good. It doesn't. Moving down 50 positions, or actually there might be 60, 50, I think, is something that is terrible and should worry the rest of us. What went wrong?
Um, I wish other Kenyans here could help me, but I see Churchill is also in the room.
If they can, Churchill said we can't speak at the we want to know. I mean, I'm personally wondering what exactly happened to the Kenyans. What happened? Maybe it's also happening elsewhere, but we can tame it. We can tame the situation if we know what happened.
I wish I knew what happened to make the ranking go down. But from where I sit, I think Kenya has tried. I've been to countries where I think media is really restricted and they would not even try to reach where Kenya is. Kenya is seen as a large market. It's seen as one of the biggest media markets in the region, other than South Africa. And when we speak about the media in Kenya and the media environment, maybe what goes or ends up being picked to determine whether there is press freedom in Kenya could be because of utterances that come from our politicians and the actions that we see. That then shows that the media is not as free as it should be. However, I want to say that there's a lot of self-censorship that takes place. This could be from the individual level, this could be from the organizational level, and also because of, depending on who owns a particular media, then it means you really have to censor, because you don't know when you are going to be taken to court. There's a lot, and many times that the media has been taken to court over stories, and that then puts a lot of control in terms of how that freedom is seen to be used within the countries. But the self-censorship that we see is then what restricts the space for us in the country. And I think there's a lot of that. It's not only from politicians, it's also from advertisers. You are denied advertising space because you've said something negative about an advertiser that brings a lot of money. Yet whatever you have said is true. So that is also a challenge that we are facing as a country.
Thank you so much, Jane. And I would like now to move from Kenya and go to our neighbors in Tanzania. I'm told Dr. Joyce is online. Dr. Joyce Bazira, are you in position to speak to us now and tell us about the status of media freedom in Tanzania? Anyone else from Tanzania who is online?
We were to be joined by Saum Mwalimu, who's been having issues trying to log in. She's from the
Yes.
Tanzania Media Council.
But
She
wasn't able, and I don't see her online at the moment.
No, she was
So
here she was here.
yeah,
Maybe
she
she has
was.
left. Let me just find out.
Okay. As we wait for Saumu to come and give us the rosy picture of Tanzania, because what is happening in Tanzania is actually the opposite of what is happening elsewhere in the region. So we would love actually to hear from them. But for now, I would like to invite Fiti. Fiti, let's talk about the region. How is it in Ethiopia?
Thank you, Sylvia. Um, you know, I was looking at what the recent court cases are there for in regards to the media. There are several journalists and online media persons who are under custody here in Ethiopia. For the last 4 years, Ethiopia has passed in very serious situations in regard to press freedom. The country was reforming. Also, we were part of it. The journalists were part of it, and some very respected media experts were part of it in reviewing the media laws in Ethiopia. It was reviewed very good, but there are some other supporting laws and regulations that are expected yet to be on table for the signing. But the media law is ratified by the umbrella law is ratified by the parliament, and it seems good. We celebrate a Press Freedom Day for the first time in the last 20 years. 4 years before, there was no journalist who was under custody. But after a few months, various journalists are detained, beaten, and they are serving various cases of accusations. Well, for your information, the challenges we face from the media. The challenges we face on the media recently is it has two phases. The first one is the government, the federal government and regional governments accuse journalists who do not support them, or who writes or who speaks on social medias or on radios and televisions about the government misbehaving. The regional and the federal government does that. Also, the second challenge comes from informal groups informal groups are very strengthened in Ethiopia recently. Interest groups, the interest groups are not formal, are not really registered in the Ethiopian law, but they influence media houses, they influence journalists, they beat journalists, they harass journalists, and kind like that. To strengthen my look, I will like to give you some examples. Recently, more than 10 journalists are in prison now in Addis Ababa only, in the federal government prison. Many of them are from the digital media. Recently in Ethiopia, the digital media is dominating the mainstream media in putting recent issues and in putting misbehavings of government and other parties for the public. So the social media owners, digital media owners, some of them are registered by the media authority in Ethiopia. They were charged, but when we try to communicate, our editors guild and other journalist association try to communicate the government offices, the attorney general say they are not, we are not taking custody of them because of they are journalists, but they are a part of a terrorist plot. They are part of organized group to topple the government, to topple the constitution. They say like that and like that. In recent cases, also there are several repeated cases, like we are witnessing looting of media houses. Media houses are robbed. Their equipment, their digital cameras, their recording materials are robbed in the evening. And when we ask what's happening, the police say it is a simple burglary issue, but it seems not a burglary issue. It seems very well organized means of challenging the media to not report fairly or not to report for the public. So these kinds of challenges are facing on us. Overall, for Ethiopian case, I would like to say that the basic challenge for journalists, or the worst days of journalism, comes when the political situation is in challenge. Now in Ethiopia, though we witness a peace agreement between the TPLF and the federal government, the northern part of Ethiopia conflict seems over, but propaganda war and some few conflicts are still there. There is also a wide range of conflicts in the biggest region of Ethiopia, the Oromia region, namely. Also, there are insecurity on the main roads of the country. People cannot move easily in recent years. There is also a challenge facing from the ethnic politics. Ethiopia is now led by the ethnic politics structure. I think the political situation is highly influencing the media not to act well good. That's I think that's now happening even in Kenya. If my colleagues will help me in the Kenya, when the government faces some challenges, the media also face some challenges. The government offices also challenge the media. Here in Ethiopia, there are serious situations regarding to journalism, but we are striving and we are trying our best even to discuss on policy matters, first of all, to discuss policy matters, to let every government official to know the new media law, which will help, which can help journalists to work freely. But we see a major gap on this area, and we are also collaborating and working together with the Eastern African Editor Society. The situation in Addis seems like this, and thank you for the time.